So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Today I'm going to be talking about the Stop Woke Act. It's a act out of Florida that has been bandied around. Some people have been describing it as an act that bans diversity training inside the state. Some people have been talking about how, it's repressive and regressive. And I want to know more about the act. I don't practice HR in Florida. I'm not doing diversity training in Florida. But it's important to understand acts, and if you have a business in Florida, you need to know about the Stop Woke Act and the requirements therein, right? And so we'll be reviewing those requirements and discussing what it looks like with the Stop Woke Act. So we'll start off here with committee substitute for House Bill number 7. That's the real name. And it describes the act itself. I'm not going to read over this. I want to read what actually the act does, right? I don't need what amounts to a window dressing or whatever you want to call it. So let's take a look at the act itself. Uh, Unlawful employment practices include subjecting any individual as a condition of employment, membership, et cetera, to training, instruction, et cetera, that compels or advances an individual to believe any of the following concepts constitutes discrimination based on race, color, sex, or national origin under this section. So it sounds to me like it's discrimination if you do these things. That's why it's an unlawful employment practice. So it sounds like they're in their own words they're banning discrimination or something. And so an unlawful employment practice is telling, instructing, or subjecting any individual as a condition of employment, the instruction that members of one race, color, sex, or national origin are morally superior to members of another race, color, sex, or national origin. An individual, by virtue of their race, is inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive, whether consciously or unconsciously. An individual's moral character or status is necessarily determined by his or her race. Members of one race should not attempt to, cannot and should not attempt to treat others without respect to race. So I guess colorblind, they should not be treating not to be colorblind, I think. Individual, by virtue of their race, protected class, bears responsibility for or should be discriminated against. Okay. An individual should be discriminated against or receive adverse treatment to achieve diversity, equity, or inclusion. Okay. Individual, by nature of protected class, bears personal responsibility for and must guilt, anguish, or other forms of psychological distress because of actions. Okay. Such virtues as merit, excellence, hard work, fairness, et cetera, were created by a certain race to oppress another certain race or color or sex or national origin. Okay. Paragraph A, so the above one should not be construed to prohibit discussion of the concepts above, provided such training is given in an objective manner. Okay. And then I'm not going to, well, here is a little bit, I'm going to go in a little bit more. I'm most interested in general employees, but there is this employees in the Florida K through 20 public education system, equality of access required, discrimination on the basis of these characteristics against another employee is prohibited. Okay. No person in this state shall, on the basis of these characteristics, be excluded from participation in or be denied the benefits of or be subjected to discrimination. Okay, great. For employment, they should not have the effect of restricting access. Okay. And then it goes on. It seems like mostly school-based intramurals and things of that nature. I'm not going to react to that. So, and then it goes on about public schools and then it's tied up in things about bathrooms and things of that nature. Again, not interested in that. Specifically interested in the employment perspective. So it appears that looking at this and looking at the nature of this law, it's preventing you to compel employees as a condition of their employment. So you cannot require employees to keep their job by learning that one race is or one class is morally superior to another class, that one class by virtue or one individual by virtue of their class is inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive. One individual's moral character isn't based on their class. Their classes cannot. One member of one class should not attempt to treat others without respect to race. And again, this is all just, it can't be a condition of your employment, right? It can't, you can teach all of these things. You could say literally all of these things, but people are not required to attend. You could invite people based on it. You could do whatever you'd like, but you can't require people to attend. First impressions on this, that's not exactly the bill of goods I was sold, right? The bill of goods I sold was that this is, particularly it's banning diversity training altogether in the workplace, and I don't understand that. That's not exactly what appears to be happening here. Considering that, I went to look at something that I was a little bit confused with because again, the Stop Woke Act for employers specifically surrounds you can't force employees to attend training in which that they will feel guilt. You can still offer the training, but it's it's specific things around moral superiority and teaching one race is worse than others and things of that nature. And what I was a little bit confused with respect to the hubbub is because I would argue that that New York already banned those discussions specifically in a much broader bill, right? So here's an article from Vice: popular union busting tactic banned in New York in quote major victory. Okay, and I'll highlight here: captive audience meetings are no longer captive after a new law bans employers from disciplining workers who don't attend. So here you have a mandatory meeting that New York has banned. So let's look at it, right? So New York's banned captive audience meetings, and here it's sold as a popular union busting tactic. And Governor Kathy Hochul signed the bill on Wednesday morning, making it the fifth state in the United States that makes these meetings illegal. So let's look through that real quick. This legislation will help to ensure that all New Yorkers receive the benefits and protections that allow them to work with dignity. Okay. And this is what it ultimately says. A captive audience meeting describes a mandatory meeting, like the meetings described in Florida, organized by an employer whose workers have expressed interest in or begun the process of unionizing. Now, this is actually a little bit misleading because this is not what New York banned. And here we can see what New York banned. The New York State Senate bill, sponsored by State Senator Jessica Ramos, aims to protect employee freedom of speech and conscience by making it illegal to retaliate against workers who do not attend meetings for political and religious reasons, which include supporting the union. So let's go into the actual bill itself. So going to the bill here, and the link is down below so you can take a look at it. And in this, unless otherwise provided by law, it shall be unlawful for any employer or employment agency to refuse to hire, employer license, or to discharge from employment, or otherwise discriminate against an individual in compensation because of an individual's political activities, which is great. I mean, that's fine. Membership in a union, of course. Individuals' refusal to attend an employer-sponsored meeting with the employer or its agent, which is the same thing happening in the Florida bill, the primary purpose of which is to communicate the employer's opinion concerning religious or political matters, or listen to speech or view communications. And then this was changed to add further that political matters include matters relating to elections for political office, political parties, legislation, regulation, and the decision to join or support political party or political, civic, community, fraternal, or labor organization. So that's what they ultimately did, is they banned the employers from having any discussions with the employees and mandating those discussions with the employees, specifically surrounding these things. While specifically this isn't political, it's already banned for employers to have these discussions in the state of New York. I, I'm not quite understanding how these are related. Let me know in the comments down below what you think the Stop Woke Act. Is it the bill of goods that you were sold? Is there more to it? Am I missing something? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.